over the next few episodes, we'll be talking about a song form, music form, rhythmic form called the Bulería. When we speak about Bulería, we're opening up a lifetime of fun and frustration for you. Bulería comes from Jerez de la Frontera, as we've discussed, and I think most people would agree that Jerez is considered the birthplace of the Bulería art form. Would you say?
Yes, I'll say that.
Yeah,
What
that's
about you?
generally agreed.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about the origins of the word Bulería? Where does this word come from?
The Bulerías. Well, Bulería comes from the word bulla, noise.
How do you spell that?
Bulla is B-U-L-L-A.
Okay.
Bulla, which is noise, or bolería. That was after. That's another meaning because it was from the times of the boleros in that época del bolero. Also, bulería. It seems that it also have some history in Cádiz, because it's come from a style called chuflas, which is very, very similar to the actual bulerías that we sing and play. And also bulerías is specifically in Jerez. They were, I want to say that the bulerías de Jerez were organized by a very nice writer known Juan de la Plata. I'm sure you heard of him, right? So he was the person that used to organize the bulerías in Jerez de la Frontera. He died. I think he died.
What do you mean?
Actually, I was when.
The Bulerías. What do you mean he organized?
Oh, he organized el ayuntamiento, the parties, or how to make the bulerías de Jerez in Jerez.
Well, they have a big festival in September.
So, and yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, in
Festival
September. And in February is when and in September. But the big festival in February is huge. Yeah. So what else about Bulerías?
There's some other theories about the name.
Yeah. So what about Bulería?
It could be
and
burlar. Oh, it come from burlar.
Oh, also exactly.
Which means to joke around, make fun of something.
That's what I've heard.
Sí.
And it also could mean. It also, some people say. I don't know if I should say this.
Say it.
Some people say that it comes from the Roma or Gypsies in Spain have their own language, Calo, which is called Calo, and in Calo, bull is a word that means
Back.
your rear end.
That's what I've heard.
So sometimes, because when, especially ladies, if they dance, especially if they're big fat,
Yeah.
60-year-old ladies.
Which is good in Flamenco.
In their kitchen, dancing with the apron on, and they're moving their bull, they're moving their fanny. So
That's what I've heard.
Some people say that too, for the word.
Oh, I don't want to miss this. It's super important that one of the most extended theories with regarding also the bulerías is that they come from El Cante por Soleá, isn't it, Gary?
Well, it's the
Yes.
same tone. It's the same.
That adopt
It's just
or
Soleá spread
acquire
up.
the rhythm or el compás. And also they say that there was a singer called El Loco Mateo, which is not something that really was proof. It's just a theory.
Some people say he may invented
That
it.
he may
made the
invented
bulería.
it, and at the end, the remates of the soleá, the acceleration of the time, the compass went into bulerías.
He was a gypsy singer, and his name means crazy Matthew.
Yeah. And yeah, that was in the 1800s. Okay, this specific meaning about Cante por Soleá that comes from El Cante por Soleá.
Well, it's important to acknowledge the Soleá as the mother of flamenco forms. Bulería, quite honestly, is one of the most complex musical forms in flamenco, and it takes years of study to understand it, especially if you don't grow up in Spain. Bulería literally layers rhythm upon rhythm and can be counted either in 3s, 6s, or various accents in 12-beat rhythm. So in flamenco, we say 12 compás, 12 compás. All these rhythms coexist at one time, and it's actually up to the artist to bring out the accents at any given point in time. In terms of the song or the cante, there are many types of bulería, but perhaps the most famous cities for bulería are Jerez de la Frontera, Lebrija, Utrera. One can make an argument for Extremadura because it has a specialized bulería for the baile, which is a bandolao style called Jaleos Extremeño.
Yeah.
And I can even make an argument for Cádiz, even though that's the sunny beach town. But I kind of consider, even though this is part of the Alegría family, they are all major key bulería, usually at the end of Alegría solo. So the type of bulería that we're talking about is Bulería de Jerez or Bulería Por Fiesta, which is a small improvised form and conversation between singer, guitarist, and dancer. And when the dancer dances that's only going to be about a 1.5 minute type of expression. It's only a 1.5 minute solo. But in all of the 12 compás palos that there are, solea, solea por bulería, the whole family, caña, caña, bambera, romance, alegría, they're all going to terminate major dance solos with a bulería. So for that reason, it's super important to study bulería. You'll never go wrong starting a bulería journey because honestly, all the future dances in 12 are going to end here, right? Mm-hmm. Let's ask Gary if there's any more insights into the bulería context because he actually had the opportunity to live with a Gypsy family for many years in the 70s and 80s. Is this a form for the theater or is it a form for the living room?
Oh, good question.
Well, originally it was a form for just Gypsy families in their own homes, in their own, or working in the farms, working in the fields and stuff. The big groups of Gypsies would be going from Jerez, especially from Santiago neighborhood, out to spend weeks and months at a time working on big plantations or garbanzos, picking garbanzos or any kind of farm work. And they would, at night or rainy days when they didn't have farm work to do, they would get some big carafes of wine and make a big pot of garbanzos or something, and they'd have fiesta all day, usually without guitar. Uh-huh. And a lot of the Bulerias came up around those people doing that, just out in the countryside, farm workers.
Mm-hmm. So it's rather exclusive in that sense that like a foreigner can't really get in on a family party.
Yeah, I did, but I was lucky. It's not that easy. Although it might be easier nowadays. Things are changing.
Do you want to tell us about the family that you were?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to kind of get integrated into one family called Agujetas family, and they were a family of people that really were good singers, mainly good singers. Manuel Agujetas is probably the most famous one in the family, and I actually played for him in performance a few times.
But Gary.
And hung around with him and stuff, but
argue with Gary.
He was, for a lot of people, for a lot of Roma people, he was the greatest singer ever in history. Even.
Yeah, you need to
more than Cameron,
explain because people will think, okay, but Agujetas families, if you listen to them, some musicians will say, but that doesn't sound good.
It's very rough.
You need to explain what is a good singer.
Well, this is subjective, and this is in the artistic realms. So. You said that you were attracted to the cante the most.
Yeah, and I always wanted to accompany singing.
Dolores.
But was it because of the pain expressed by those singers that you were attracted to it?
Yeah, I think it's the feeling the feeling, because it was, like I said earlier, it's so akin to what I was used to with the blues. And I think it just was natural for me.
We have to remember that flamenco is it's a personal and authentic expression, so no two artists will express themselves the same way. When we're talking about this type of cante, we're talking about flamenco puro, which is pure flamenco. And to, honestly, the foreign ears, a lot of times is actually not that attractive a sound because, listen, I'm a classical musician. I was trained for more than 20 years to have perfect pitch. And quite honestly, flamenco is not seeking that perfection.
No.
Because the singers sing with quarter tones, maybe even slightly between a quarter tone, and it's not a perfect semitone, so it's like difficult sometimes to listen to. But for the true flamenco aficionado, I would say, yeah, you are kind of listening for the pain in the voice or an authentic expression. And for Gary, he was attracted to the cante first. We're all attracted to flamenco for different reasons. For me, it was the guitar. So it was like the liquidy, watery feeling of the flamenco guitar. So I think to each his own. I think there are a lot of people that might pick up an Agujetas CD or a Camarón CD and just listen to that and go, wow.
Yeah.
And they won't even know what to think because it's different worlds, right? So for me, it took about 3 years before I liked the flamenco cante. Sorry, but I mean, listen, I don't think I'm alone because it's quite painful to listen to, especially for the very trained musicians because it's not a vibrato in the voice. It's a slight warble. It's not a perfect semitone or a tone. It's in between. So
I'm sure it's because you didn't actually knew too much Spanish, so you couldn't see what was the meaning of these lyrics.
Yeah, I had to learn some Spanish over 25 years for sure.
You see the meaning and then you put it together with the sound and the expression of the person, what is telling you when she's singing or he's singing. I'm sure maybe you will be grabbed by that. But in my case was obviously the singing.
Yeah.
I mean,
or
I started dancing.
Poetry,
I started
maybe?
dancing, but then I went into the whole 13 years of my life, no other music.
Yeah.
I was listening to. I wasn't even making an effort. It was me wanting to
And flamenco's
listen
like
to
that.
flamenco.
It draws super passionate, opinionated personalities. It's a miracle we're sitting here together right now and not arguing. Just wait for future episodes. But flamenco, it becomes an addiction. It's a lifestyle.
It's
you
super
seek
addictive,
more
yeah.
and more and more profound experiences with it. And quite honestly, I'd say we're all in this together for decades now.
Yeah.
I'm starting to lose track.